Hello everyone, I'm Indra Bartona and welcome to my show. If you haven't joined me before, I talk about topics related to how to stay on path to a positive vibe lifestyle, interview guests, and host guided meditations. Today we are talking to Todt, a friend and a person I admire, about living a positive life and choosing more positive moments. My guest Todt has had a remarkable journey and I can't wait for you to meet him. Tyler many years ago would have described himself as fired from his job, divorced, unfit, a whiner, complainer, and depressed. He made a life-changing decision to turn things around a few years ago, and that certainly changed his story. He's now a father of 3. He and his wife have fostered 7 children in the last couple of years, a former bank manager, now a coach who helps others to get fit and connect to live a more intentional life. Before we get started, please remember to subscribe to my channel, and if you found this show interesting or helpful, please like and comment, as I love to read your comments. So let's get started. Welcome, Tyler, to the show. It's wonderful to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Indra. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. We've connected several times on Spaces, and then you were generous enough to come on my YouTube channel and podcast, which I thank you so much for that. So this is always so fun hanging out with you. I always learn a lot, and I'm grateful to be here. So thanks for having me.
Well, thank you so much, Tyler, for being part of the Positivity Vibe Tribe Twitter Spaces several times. Look, you are just such a big hit in there. I mean, they just love you and everybody can see why. And the wonderful interviews both time. I mean, the tribe just can't wait for you to return. And it's really been a blessing just meeting you here, on the Twitterverse and building a relationship and now bringing it here to YouTube. I love it.
Super excited to be here. I love the Positivity Vibe Tribe. I love everything you've created there. I love what you guys stand for, and I get better every time I go there. I meet cool people too that are awesome. So I'll hop on there anytime you'll have me. I appreciate it.
Love it. Oh my gosh, we're so spoiled. So your path has certainly been inspiring, and how you turned your life around. I just love to know and go back over, how did you go about changing things for the better? Because it was quite a turning point for you.
Yeah, I like to tell people, I was divorced pretty early on. I got married pretty early in my 20s. And then, we were married a few years, and I got a rough call one day just saying, I'm seeing someone else and I'm leaving you. And that kind of sent me on a downward spiral for a little bit. Turned to alcohol, turned to some things that weren't great for me. And then met my now wife, who is, the most amazing person I've ever met, Annie. But I still hadn't really fully healed in a lot of those things yet. And I think I brought a lot of the baggage into my marriage from the first one. And so first couple of years of our marriage, we got pregnant on the honeymoon. So then you can add a kid right in. And, I was working a job I wasn't super passionate about. And I'll never forget, one night I was just kind of feeling sorry for myself, as I typically did. I had ballooned up. I had put on 18, 19 pounds, and I hadn't been going to the gym, so it wasn't muscle. And, I just was kind of a shell of myself. I complained every day about where my life ended up, and I, working a job I don't like. I don't get to see my friends, just all these things. And I was drinking a lot at night and escaping with certain things. And I'll never forget one night, my amazing wife just came in. I was laying on the couch. We'd put our daughter to bed, and she said, Ty, I see you kind of unhappy, and, you're never stuck. She just said, I love you and you're never stuck. And if you want to wake up tomorrow and we want to create a plan to do something and get you somewhere else, then we can do it. But just know you're not stuck. I love you. And she walked into the other room, and something rose up really deep inside me. Like 2 minutes after she left, I turned off the TV. I burst into tears. Probably had a good cry for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. I ran and grabbed a notebook, and I wrote down, tonight's the night I changed my life. I'm going to write different rules for myself. My kids aren't going to be my alarm clock. I'm going to wake up before my family. I'm going to journal gratitude. I'm going to spend some time in prayer and meditation. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to start going to the gym. I'm going to stop complaining and be a really positive guy, because nobody wants to be around. It's one of the worst human traits you can. Who wants to, oh, that guy complains a lot, I want to hang out with him more. Nobody ever says that, So I just decided little by little, I'm going to get addicted to self-improvement and addicted to being the best version of myself. Now, it wasn't a linear path. It wasn't like oh man, I made this change and everything was easy. It's 3 steps forward, a couple back, but I've been at this now for 4.5, 5 years. I've got a lot of really, really good habits I've built in now that have really compounded and made a profound impact on my life, my marriage, my fatherhood. Able to quit that job actually 2 years ago and go off on my own, which was a dream. And so, yeah, I feel like today, the most blessed guy in the world. I just get to wake up and do what I love, pour into people, and people who knew me 5 years ago would just say that's a totally different guy. And so
I love that. And it really comes out in your whole being, in your energy, that you are in this really positive place and you're happy, and it's just the energy that you bring. And I'm sure other people have mentioned that too, that they notice that there's an energy that you bring to the table, like just in conversations. I mean, it comes through even in Twitter Spaces, when we're doing an interview there. It comes through just in the audio, the energy, and then I think it's even just bigger visually seeing you, because you just light up talking about so many different things. So I just love that.
I appreciate it. I think it's, when you have that, you're kind of in this different spot. And I hate to admit this, Indra, but 5, 6 years ago, I woke up every day thinking, I can't wait till this day's over. And my wife and daughter go to bed so that I can escape, watch sports, watch Netflix, throw on a movie, eat some bad food. I just wanted to escape. I couldn't see all the blessings that were in front of me. And, today was day number 1,482 in a row that I've woken up and written things I'm grateful for and kind of meditated or prayed over those things. And what that has done to my mind is just reprogrammed any kind of opportunity that would come to, hey, let's shift and focus on, or any kind of challenge to, let's shift and focus on the opportunity and kind of see all the blessings around us. And once you get on this other side and you can change that mindset, it's hard to not wake up and be happy. It's hard to not wake up and want to tell people there's a better way to live. Come over here. It's more fun. I do have a lot of energy now, and I get told that a lot. And I think it is because, man, I'm very careful about the inputs that I put into myself. I'm very careful about the people I allow kind of in my circle. I'm very careful about a lot of these things. I choose to be happy every day. I'm not ignorant. I'm not, it's not self-aware enough to know there's problems going on in the world, in our community. I just choose to focus on the solutions and try and be a part of that. I'm not going to walk by people and not say, hi, how you doing? And try and pour into people. I just kind of feel like that's who I'm going to be. I made a choice to be that way.
I love that. I want to ask you, because you have been on this journey and you've just been conquering everything. What's the best advice that you could share with other people about even having an awareness about choosing a job, that brings you joy? I mean, you've had quite a career transition. I mean, you were doing something that was very different as a bank manager, and now you kind of shifted over here. It's actually pretty dramatic. So I think you've got a lot to share about your advice with others on this.
Yeah, I think, and look, as it'd be great if we could all say, hey, don't worry about money, just go do your passion. Well, you have to pay bills. And it took me 4.5, 5 years of grinding from that point, me and my wife, of, hey, I always joke that I worked the 9 to 5 shift. Then I also worked the 8 to 10 shift after my kids went to bed, most nights, to build this thing on the side. But I always had this vision in my head. My wife's been my teammate through the whole thing. And we got out a notebook, and that's what I would suggest anybody do. See where you need to be at financially. Ask yourself questions. I have this exercise I call perfect day. And so what I did 4.5 years ago, I wrote down, what would my perfect day look like? I said, I'm up before my family. I'm filling my own cup, right? I'm working out. I'm praying, gratitude. Then I want to spend time with my family and play with them and really pour in and be present with them. And I want dad to be around, not go into an office. Then I'd love to pour into other people, coaching and doing a lot of the different things that I get to do now. And I wrote this out 4.5 years ago. And when I look back 4.5 years ago, little by little, we kept moving towards that day. And that's why I'm so happy now. I think I literally get to walk out my perfect day most of the time. And when days were hard and I was still managing that bank and definitely had challenges and some setbacks and things like that, but I always kept that vision in my head. And I journal every day. I'm really big into journaling and just reminding myself that's where I'm going to get to, right? And so now
Yes.
you reach a spot and you say, okay, well, let's set new goals. Let's set, we need to always be having goals and things we're working towards. And I think, I hate how it sounds, but I think the hardest thing that a lot of people do some days is just decide which Netflix show to watch and where to order food from. And, you got to have challenges. Humans, we need to get up and conquer challenges. That's how we feel good. We get momentum with that compounds and we can keep getting better and better. And so my number one tip is get out a notebook. Ask yourself where you want to be in a year. You're the CEO of your life. Ask yourself where you want to be in 3 years and 5 years. Start to reverse engineer that and ask yourself every day that I'm doing, am I taking steps to get closer to that or farther away by the things I put into my body, by my health, by my mindset, by my skill set? What do I need to do to improve to get to those areas? And so once I started asking myself those questions, it kind of became easy, well, instead of watching 4 hours of TV at night, I'm gonna invest a couple hours into myself. If I can give my company 45 hours a week, I can give myself 5 or 6 a week, right? To try and grow this thing on the side and make sure I'm well rested and pouring into other people as I went along. But you got to ask yourself some of those hard questions, get off autopilot and get them down on paper. Because we all have daydreams, 10 years before I did this, I would tell people, someday I'm going to write a book. Someday I'm going to do this. Well, until I got it on paper, it was just kind of a daydream. And so I'd say get a notebook out. Number one, start writing who you're going to be, where you're going to be, and why you're going to be there. And then you just wake up every day and you execute.
Yes, I love that because it's so true. When we write things down, they become more powerful. And it's underestimated. Something that I really like to do, and I think of it as sort of like an intentional journaling, but at the end of the day, I just pour things out onto paper. And a lot of them are, like adding to the dreams, adding to the life, adding to, things like, and I think that's something that is really important. So what you touched on there is really, I think it's life-changing for people that aren't doing that, to write these things down, to journal and to explore. And there's something exciting about creating a life of your dreams, the vision, and so, that's what I pick up from you, Tyler, is that it really is, you're living the life of your dreams. And the thing is, it's never perfect. It's never 100% perfect, but it's about having the positivity and that attitude that you're able to do whatever you need to do to get through that day and just power and still have joy and gratitude and all those good things, right?
Yeah, that's so well said. And I think couple key points off of that. I wrote down very early on that I couldn't control my circumstances. Maybe a boss is mad at me or maybe this or that, but I could always control 2 things. And that's what I'm going to focus on. And that's my attitude and my effort. And so if I make sure that I can control those 2 things, then I didn't really feel like a passenger anymore. I didn't really feel like I needed to escape from anything. I could always choose my next action. There's a lot of power in that, right? Like I always give the example of, somebody cuts you off, right? In traffic, or, they tell you you're number 1 with a middle finger or something, your next reaction, do you give them the power and do you let it upset you? Do you let it bother you? Or do you choose to just say, you know what, maybe they're having a really rough day. I'm just going to give a kind wave and let them go. And maybe it cost me 3 seconds of, getting to this next light or something, but I'm going to choose from this point to control my actions, control my mind, and still go about having a great day. And so we can always choose that. And there's a lot of power in that, I think.
Absolutely. Power in choice, and every moment we get to choose.
Yeah,
Love
it's
that.
amazing. And then also, I would like to say to anybody listening, to your listeners, I never wrote my whole life, and journaling sounded very intimidating to me 4 or 5 years ago because, if mom sees this, I'm sorry, mom, but I paid my friend Kara to write every paper for me in college. I never wrote, I never did any, and I just said, I'm not good at writing. I don't like it. And what I did was I just started small with that gratitude I was talking about. I just set a goal that every day I'm going to write 3 things I'm grateful for. That's it. It take less than 1 or 2 minutes to do that every morning. But just starting there, and then now I can't tell you, there's many mornings where I wake up and I'll fill 2 pages of just what I'm grateful for, some of the things we're working on, what I feel so blessed because of this, and I'll just keep going. But just, you don't need to do it all and write a whole book in one day. You just start small and start to build.
I love that. It's what I call intentional journaling. And sometimes if the moment strikes you, in the morning, or if it strikes you at the end of the day, like, oh, I'm just going to go and do this. It's more organic. But talking about intentional, I'd love to know how you bring an intentional emphasis into your coaching of your clients.
Well, I just hopped off a call right before this, and that's probably my favorite thing to do, is just to get to pour into people. And I know you and I have talked about this even off stream. What a gift and a blessing that is, to even be a little part and to help people kind of zoom out and see what their best life is. And so, yeah, to me, there's nothing that probably fires me up more and gives me more energy than seeing other people win too. And so what I like to do is just challenge them to ask themselves the right questions, right? I've had coaches in my life, and when I look back, I think a good coach, somebody would say about a really good coach is they might not have told me, they're not reinventing the wheel. It's not like I know a bunch of things that a lot of these other people don't, but I'm just helping them to pause, ask themselves the right questions, and then be super intentional again about leveraging every moment of your time and your life to get to where you really want to go. Not where society tells you should go, not where your parents tell you should go, not where your boss tells you where you should go, or your colleagues or neighbors. Where do you want to go? And I think it's so critical. We live in a society now where by the time you're 18 years old, you've seen 100,000 commercials telling you what happiness looks like, right? It's the brand new flashy car. It's the big mansion. It's all the fancy stuff. And I'll be honest, I went that route. I made a lot of money in poker in my early 20s, and none of that stuff made me happy. And a lot of the guys I coach and girls I coach, I hear that similar story, that, well, I made a lot of money and I focused on that, but I'm still miserable. It's like, okay, well, let's zoom out and work on you. Let's start to ask yourself some of these questions and start to really think about what makes you happy at your core. Because for me, I don't need a lot of stuff, right? I dressed up fancy for this one. I got an Adidas tank top on, but I don't need fancy suits. I don't need expensive watches. That stuff just doesn't make me happy day to day. What really makes me happy is being around my family, having a great circle like you, Indra, and people I can talk to and get better and learn from. And, just little things like that the family walks, looking at a sunset with my daughter and eating an ice cream cone, just the little things day to day are really the big things. And I think too often we take our eye off that because society and mainstream media, all these things kind of program us that you got to go for the next thing. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. And that I'll be happy when mindset just doesn't lead anywhere. And so, I think a lot of my coaching centers around that to help people understand that, what they really want. And then let's go attack it.
I love that because it's so, well, in a way, it gives back accountability to your clients from what you're saying, because you sort of you turn everything around and you say, well, what are the things that you want, you take control over your destiny. So you're sort of turning everything over to them in a way, back, like, and they're like, okay, well, I need to do this and this, and then there's action items, I'm sure. Because I love that, because I think the thing that I always pick up from you in conversations is that we underestimate how powerful we are in creating the life that we want. I mean, the example of the extreme of where you were and where you are today. I mean, it's so inspiring, and it's truly doable. As you said, you've shared with us, the journey, and it's really about accountability and making those choices and doing these things daily. Because I almost think what's really incredible is that we undervalue just even our bodies. And if we're feeling good, if we're eating healthy, if we're moving our bodies, then the body frees the mind, on so many levels. I love to do that. And even even before I have like an interview with you, I'm running a Twitter space, whatever I'm doing, doing a live stream, I invest in myself the same way that you do, so that I'm bringing the best part of myself to this interview. I've gotten up early. I've gone for a big hike. I've had a great breakfast. So I am like powered. By the time I'm here, I'm like ready for you. I'm excited to be here. And I think that's also something that it sounds like that you teach, and you coach, the people around you to just everything, every component from taking care of, your body to also your mindset.
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. And nobody's coming to save you. Nobody, that alarm goes off at 5:45. I don't care if I'm your coach or you're the coach or anybody's your coach. Nobody's going to be over your shoulder making you get out of bed, right? Or nobody's going to be making you holding the pen in your hand and making you write the gratitude down, right? But you've got to have integrity to yourself. And I heard this in a podcast about 3.5, 4 years ago, and it was something that really clicked with me. And it said, if the difference between the successful people and the unsuccessful people are that the successful people just have this massive integrity to themselves, that when they say they're going to do something, whether that's I'm going to get up and go to the gym tomorrow, or I'm going to write the gratitude, or I'm going to read before bed instead of watch 2 hours of TV. When they promise themselves something, they're going to do it. They're going to follow through. And I really realized with myself, I don't feel like doing a lot of those things. I mean, even 4.5 years into writing gratitude every day, if I'm perfectly honest, my mind will still tell me many days when I wake up, Ty, you're a grateful guy now. You can skip it today. Don't worry about it, or you know what, you're in pretty good shape. You don't need to go to the gym today. Just zone out. You've earned it. And you just got to tell yourself, I know I can delay gratification. I know these things are good for me. And I'm just going to continue on that path because I know that they're good for me in the long run. And so if you have that integrity to yourself and that deep why, I talk about that why a lot with a lot of my clients. Why is it so important that you're your best self? For me, I wrote down my why and I put it on my bedstand the first 2 years of my self-improvement journey. And it was, I want to be a great husband and a great dad. I don't want to let, now I got a bunch of kids, but back then it was just my daughter, and I didn't want to let my daughter down. I wanted her to see her dad on fire, being present, so that she would look for that in a mate someday, so that, I could honor my wife and be the husband I was supposed to be, and not just this whiny, complaining guy that they probably wanted to get away from a lot, And so it was so, when my alarm would go off at 5:50, it was very easy then for me to get up and say, I'm not just doing this for myself, and also my faith is personal, and I don't, anybody can bring theirs in, but for me, it was bigger than that. I feel like God loaned me my body. He created me with a specific purpose and a destiny. And I just wasn't living up to that. And so to honor him, I feel like I got to be my best self too.
I love that. So we're getting towards the end of this interview. I want you to just kind of just give me some kind of rapid fire on some of the things that just make you so happy and fill you with joy. I love asking this question.
So you just want the things that make me happy, the happiest?
Yes. Yeah.
Quality time. So today at noon, my boys will go with my wife to their speech therapy, and then they go a couple times a week. Me and my daughter already have a planned out date. We're doing a science experiment. We're going swimming. We're going to get lunch together. So I've blocked off a few hours just for intentional time with her. She's about to turn 7. And I know you only get 18 summers with them. Before that, this morning, another thing that made me happy, I got to take all 3 of my kids to the park for about an hour and 20 minutes. There's sprinklers going off in the park. So we all ran through the sprinklers together, kind of just horsed around and played. So I think my kids are probably my biggest sense of joy. I just love being a dad. I love that I get to be home with them and kind of pour into them in that way. I think another big thing that makes me happy is just my wife. We're seeing where we were. I hate to say this, we were saying the D word 5 years ago. I mean, it was that bad to the point, and I don't blame her. Looking back, I wouldn't have wanted to live with me either. I complained 50 times a day and never brought anything to the table outside of a paycheck, and to see where we've kind of come now, and to see her be my teammate, and to really be vulnerable and open up with her and be able to tell her certain things and have her kind of lean into me in the same way, just to form that kind of partnership and that on fire marriage that, we talk about our legacy and what we want to leave even behind, so that makes me really happy. Getting to talk to people like you and be a part of the positivity tribe, and just to connect with other uplifting, positive people too. We tell our kids, and I tell my daughter all the time now, about to be 7, your friend choices are very critical, right? If you hang around 5 kids that are always complaining and are going to be stealing stuff, well, you're probably going to be the sixth. And, if you hang around 5 positive kids that are getting good grades and studying and in athletics and things like that, you're probably going to be the sixth. And so adults are the same way, I think. And so I've been very mindful of, man, it takes a lot to get into my circle at this point, because I'm only going to allow you in if you're building me up. I'm going to build you up, and I want all to win together. And so I get a lot of joy and happiness out of seeing a lot of my friends change their lives, change their marriage, change their bodies, change their finances too. So yeah, that all those things give me an immense amount of joy.
I love that. I love that so much. Wow. It's been such a amazing interview, sitting here chatting with you. Time has just flown. I cannot believe it. I just want to say to all the viewers that you are just you have so much amazing content that you share with everybody, Tyler, and it really does make a difference. And we're going to have all of your contact information with your YouTube channel, because your YouTube channel is amazing, and also links to your everything else, whether it be Instagram, the Twitterverse, everywhere. I'll just gather up all the links, put them below here, and everybody will be able to find you and connect with you.
I appreciate that. And I got to say before I go, that's the first time you invited me to the Positivity Vibe Tribe, Indra. We didn't know each other at that point. This was a year ago or so. And you're like, hey, would you mind watching this YouTube video I made? And then we can kind of talk about that. I think I joked with you. I watched like 12 of your videos after that. You probably got Tyler Todt has liked, Tyler Todt has commented, Tyler Todt has liked. Yeah, your stuff is fantastic. I love learning from you. I love what you bring to the table too, just about, gratitude, and we can all be better, and let's just keep being better every day. We can all change the world through kindness and bettering ourselves. And so I'm super grateful for you and grateful to be on here. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much, Tyler. You always say things that make me feel humble every time. And also, I remember that, and I was actually shocked when I saw you in all the YouTube videos.
I went down a rabbit hole one night and just like, this one's great. Let's check out this one's great. Okay, let's just keep watching these.
Well, I certainly returned the favor, and then I think I've been all over your Instagram, because that's just so amazing. So yeah, everybody do check out Tyler's Instagram of these just quick snaps of inspiration. I can't think of any other word, but they really are inspiring, and lots of variety also over there as well as the YouTube. So I just love that. Well, it's certainly been just such a pleasure to have you, Tyler, on the YouTube, and to sit here and have this conversation with my friend. I could just talk to you for hours. It would just
like
be
when you were on my podcast. I looked up, I'm like, it's been 50 minutes. What in the world? We just started this thing. So yeah, I feel the same way.
it just kind of flew. So I just wish you to have a amazing day with your family and everything else that you're doing. And I'm just sending you and everybody love, light, and blessings.
Thank you.